Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Amanda Barrientos, founder of ABI Coaching. This is your place where you'll learn practical, actionable strategies to help you maximize your potential so you can lead a rich life and business. Today I want to talk about relationships and how to resolve fights more quickly. I've talked in previous videos about connected relationships as a foundational pillar to leading a rich life and business. The reason is because relationships matter so much in shaping all of our other experiences outside of the relationship. They affect every area of our lives. If our relationships are stressed, then we feel stressed in all areas of life. We don't feel supported. We feel lonely. We feel misunderstood. That affects our clarity of thought and our productivity. So today I'm specifically going to talk about our intimate relationships because they tend to have the most impact on all areas of our life. But if you're not in an intimate relationship right now, that's okay. These skills will still apply to you and you can implement them in any relationship. Have you ever noticed that when you get triggered, heated up, and charged in the middle of a fight, you have an automatic response that seems to be consistent and patterned? Some of us want to fight more intensely, others of us want to run away from the situation, and some of us just shut down and go quiet. This is totally normal. It's an automatic response that's wired into our brain to protect us. It's something that happens in what we can call the lowest part, the animal part of our brain, and it happens automatically to keep us safe. The interesting thing is that it moves us out of our executive center where we have rational thinking and can think through consequences and have a clear discussion about what's going on. So when we fight, we automatically go into this protective part, and in order to not have that automatic response of fight, flight, or freeze, we have to get conscious that this is happening so we can bypass and create a new situation where we're able to say, oh wait, this is going on and I need to take a break to have a different response to this argument. So let me teach you a trick to help you get out of this automatic habitual brain response so you can move through a fight more quickly. So let me give you an example of what this looks like in an everyday fight, and I'll give you an example from my history. So I used to have an automatic response of freaking out and wanting to run away when I'd get into a fight. Things would start to get heated, I'd get triggered, and I would instantly go to the place of like, I gotta get out of here, I do not want to be in this fight, I need to run away. So I would often leave without talking and telling the person what I was going through. I would get worked up and I would just say, I'm out of here, and I would leave. They wouldn't know if I was coming back. Sometimes I would leave for hours. Sometimes if I was dating someone, I wouldn't talk to them for days. This was really damaging, and especially if the person I was with was someone who had a fear of abandonment. So over counseling, coaching, reading, I learned what was going on with my brain response, and I learned a strategy to help me get through it, and it's gotten better and better and better over the years. So what I would start to do is slow down, recognize that that thought was occurring, that that fear and automatic response was happening, and I would start to learn to take a break. I'd say, hey, I gotta stop. I need you to know that this is what happens for me when I get heated up and charged. So I'm probably going to stop you in the middle of an argument. I'm going to say, I need to take a break. It used to be that I'd have to maybe take a break for the whole night. And then it turned into where I could just go into the kitchen and take a sip of water. Now I've gotten to the point where I can be in an argument, get real heated up, and I can say, just give me a second, and I can sit there and do some deep breathing, and then I can come back. What's occurring is that I'm giving my brain a minute to slow down that automatic response, stop it in its tracks, take some deep breaths so that I can get back into my executive center where I can have a conversation about what's occurring. So here's your action step for today to help you resolve fights more quickly. I want you to start to get conscious and curious about your automatic response. Are you a fight, flight, or freezer? Do you have a typical tendency? It might be that if you're triggered in a different way, you have a different response. That's okay. It might vary, but start to notice your patterns so that you can start to understand what's going on. Just having the awareness that this is happening will be helpful, but if you can really start to reflect on your patterns, it'll be even more helpful. The next step, I want you to sit down with your partner and let them know that this is what's going on. Say, hey, when I get charged up, this is what happens for me. And start to explore what their patterns are. While you're not fighting and you're in this calm space, you can together come up with some agreements about what you'll do when you do get charged and heated. Something like, hey, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna say, I need a break. I'm gonna walk into the bathroom for 5 minutes. If I need longer, I'll come out and tell you. Something that gives an indication so that you have this roadmap for when you get upset and when you get triggered, because once that happens, it's hard to remember what to do in the moment. So if you set this up beforehand through a written agreement, then it's easier when you're charged in the moment to remember, oh wait, I remember this is happening, we made this agreement, give me a minute. What happens and why this is so powerful is because when we go to that animal place in our brain, we start arguing more and more and more. We get more triggered, we get more charged, and then we just start arguing about the argument. And we can never get to the core of what's going on to shift and discuss and plan and come up with solutions and connect because we're so charged. So taking these steps will really help you gain a little clarity and create some space for you to connect more clearly when you're not triggered and charged. One thing that's essential to remember here is that relationships are a journey and they take daily practice. This method, you'll have to practice. It'll get easier over time, and sometimes you'll backslide. I've been practicing this for a few years now, and I usually can switch pretty quickly. But the other day, my partner and I got in a huge disagreement that really hit me in a core wound, and it took me a full hour and 5 miles on the elliptical to calm my brain down. This hasn't happened to me in a couple years. But it was intense and I had to take a break and move through it. What I really thought was cool and made me want to make this video was that I realized like, oh wow, even in my most charged state, we can get through this in a couple of hours instead of a couple of weeks, or even sometimes I would hold resentments for a couple of months. I would be so charged, we would create more mess in the argument, and then it was almost impossible to work through. So now we go to a place of like, whoa, I am really upset. I can't even talk right now. I'm gonna be irresponsible with what I say, so I've gotta take a break. So once I took that break, we were able to come back and start to uncover what was really going on for me. But had I not started there with just slowing down, it probably would have turned into a much bigger mess and we probably wouldn't have been able to work through it so quickly. So starting to use this strategy with your partner can be really helpful in helping you move through challenges and fights more quickly so that you can get back to a state of connection and balance. So real quick recap, I want you to first get conscious and curious about your fight, flight, and freeze patterns. Second, sit down with your partner and talk about what yours are, talk about what theirs are. Third, when you're not arguing in this discussion and it's very calm, I want you to come up with some agreements about what you're gonna do when a triggered fight comes up. How are you gonna handle it knowing that this is how your brain responds habitually to keep you safe? How are you gonna overcome that? And 4, practice, practice, practice. Be easy on yourself. It takes time. Just keep practicing and it'll get better. All right, that's all I've got for you today. But in the comments below, leave me something about whether you're a fight, flight, or freezer in the middle of arguments. If you've taken a few minutes to just get conscious about it, I want to hear about what you're learning from these videos. If you're liking the videos, be sure to like them, share them with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and get out there and do whatever it takes to transform into the most empowered version of yourself so you can lead a rich life and a rich business. I'll be back next Wednesday with another tip to help you maximize your potential.